Most women have at some point felt the chilling, perplexing shift in a man's energy, the sudden silence, the slowing of his texts, the way his once eager presence seems to recede into a distant, impenetrable fortress. It feels like a betrayal, a psychological whiplash from the intoxicating closeness you once shared. In that moment, a woman's mind, often a vast and intricate cathedral of emotional intelligence, defaults to a singular, agonizing question. What did I do wrong? This is where the story truly begins. Not with him, but with you. This is not merely a tale of his retreat, but a mythic journey into the heart of a woman's own psyche. Because the man pulling away is rarely just about him. It is a mirror, brutally and unflinchingly held up to the face of your deepest fears, your most unhealed wounds, and the unexamined shadow within. The Jungian psychologist understands that the man who pulls away is not merely a man, he is an archetype. He is the physical manifestation of the anima's great challenge. He is the external symbol of an internal crisis. In his silence, you are confronted with your own relationship to a primal fear of abandonment. For many, this is a specter from childhood, a ghost of the little girl who felt she had to be good enough, to be loved, to not be left behind. She is the one who learned to contort herself into a shape that pleased others, to shrink her own needs to avoid the terrifying vacuum of solitude. When he pulls away, that same little girl screams from the depths of your unconscious, and her panic becomes your panic. You feel an instinctual, almost biological, urge to chase, to plead, to perform emotional acrobatics, to win back his attention, to prove your worthiness. This is the great error. This is the moment when the ego, that small, fragile part of the self that craves control and external validation, seizes the reins. The ego whispers, "He is the source of your happiness. Without his attention, you are incomplete. Go after him. Fix this." But what if the fix isn't in him at all? What if the solution lies in the radical act of stillness? The philosopher Seneca wrote that we should not fear the storms of life, but rather learn to sail through them with an inner calm. The man pulling away is a storm, designed by fate or perhaps by the collective unconscious to test your inner sea. The woman on the path of individuation, the sacred, lifelong process of becoming whole, understands this. She knows that chasing after an external force to fill an internal void is a fool's errand. The man's retreat is a call to her higher self. It is an invitation to turn the gaze inward. The Jungian perspective suggests that when he pulls away, he is actually pulling away from a part of himself that he sees projected onto you. He is pulling away from the anima he cannot yet integrate, from the powerful, sometimes overwhelming, feminine energy that he is not yet mature enough to contain. His retreat is his shadow work, and your reaction to it is yours. To chase him is to enable his avoidance of his own internal journey. It is to accept the projected shadow he is casting onto you as a true reflection of your own lack. It is to accept his retreat as a statement of your inadequacy, rather than a reflection of his own inner turmoil. The task, then, is not to pursue him, but to pursue the deepest truth of your own being. It is to confront the dark, wounded parts of yourself that are screaming in the face of his absence. The truth is, the man who pulls away is not the problem. He is the messenger. And his message is this: you are being asked to become your own source of peace, your own fountain of love, your own unwavering center of gravity. This is the ultimate crucible of self-worth. It is in his absence that you must learn to stand in the magnificent, terrifying quiet of your own worthiness. He retreats not just from you, but from the immense psychic force of the Great Mother, archetype that you represent to his unconscious mind. For a man, this is often a terrifying and compelling dance. He is drawn to the feminine energy, the nurturing, the creative chaos, the sense of home and belonging. This is his anima, calling to him from the outside world. He yearns for it, yet often fears it will swallow his nascent individuality, his still fragile sense of self. When he feels himself becoming too intertwined, too defined by the relationship, his unconscious panics. He must retreat to a psychological wilderness to find himself again, to prove to himself that he can stand alone. This is not a rejection of you, but a desperate search for his own psychological sovereignty. His pullback is a necessary, albeit clumsy, act of masculine individuation. It is the boy inside the man, still clinging to the myth of the lone hero, needing to prove his strength by walking away from the very thing that softens him. And this is where the woman must become a student of the Stoics. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The tranquility that comes from not caring what people say or think." This is a profound truth that must be applied to the emotional landscape of a relationship. When he pulls away, the natural instinct is to flood the space with your own anxiety, to try and fix the perceived fracture. But the Stoic approach is different. It is to recognize that his actions are his own, driven by his own inner world, and that you have no control over them. The only thing you can control is your own response. The true power lies not in chasing him, but in cultivating an unwavering, quiet sense of self that is not dependent on his presence or attention. This is a profound form of self-possession. It is the understanding that your emotional well-being is not a negotiation with an external force. It is your own sacred responsibility. This is the deeper work. The emotional freedom you seek is not to be found in his return, but in the radical acceptance of your own worth, independent of any man's gaze. The silence, the space he creates, is an opportunity for you to sit with your own discomfort, to not run from it. What is the fear that his silence triggers? Is it a fear of being unlovable? A fear of being alone? A fear of your own inadequacy? These are the shadow parts of yourself that are now being illuminated. Do not recoil from them. Instead, turn to them with compassion and curiosity. Ask them what they need from you. What part of you is still seeking validation from a source outside of yourself? This is the work of healing your own inner child. The man's retreat is a test of your psychological maturity. Are you an adult woman, capable of holding your own emotional center, or are you a little girl still looking for a father figure's approval? Are you a woman who defines her life by her relationships, or are you a woman who defines her relationships by the richness of her life? The latter is the path of empowerment. It is the path of the true sovereign, the queen of her own inner kingdom. She does not chase, she does not beg, she does not demand. She simply exists, fully and unapologetically, in her own power. She knows that a man who is meant to be in her life will be drawn to that light, not to her chase. She understands that genuine connection is not a product of frantic pursuit, but a byproduct of mutual respect and shared psychological space. The space he is creating is a gift, an invitation to a deeper relationship with yourself. Do not squander it by filling it with panic. Instead, fill it with your own purpose, your own passions, your own unwavering self-love. This is the ultimate act of attraction. When a man retreats, he is not just physically absent, he is also emotionally and psychologically unavailable. This state of unavailability is a projection of his own unconscious shadow. This Jungian concept suggests that he is likely avoiding a confrontation with the parts of himself that he deems weak, unmanly, or dependent. His pulling away is not a judgment of your worth, but a frantic attempt to escape the parts of himself that you, by your very presence, bring into focus. He may perceive your intimacy, your emotional depth, and your desire for connection as a threat to his autonomy. This is the puer aeternus, the eternal boy within him, who fears commitment because he equates it with being swallowed whole, losing his identity, or being mothered. He has not yet integrated the animus of mature, responsible manhood that can stand in his power and still be vulnerable. The woman who recognizes this understands that his retreat is not a statement about her, but a symptom of his own unhealed psyche. She does not take it personally. She sees it as a signpost. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Don't seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens happens the way it happens. Then you will be happy." This is not a passive acceptance of your fate, but an active choice to align your will with reality. Reality is that he is pulling away. To fight this reality is to create immense suffering for yourself. Instead, you can choose to see this as a radical opportunity. His absence frees you from the task of managing his emotional state, allowing you to reclaim your own energy and focus it back on yourself. This is the great work of self-possession. When you do not panic, when you do not chase, you demonstrate to both him and yourself that your sense of wholeness is not contingent upon his presence. This is a profound and unsettling experience for the man. The woman he left behind, whom he expected to be in a state of distress and anxiety, is instead radiating a serene confidence. She is not waiting, she is living. This is the inverse of the archetypal female chase, and it is disarming. It forces him to confront the fact that his actions did not destroy her. This challenges his unconscious belief that his presence is her life source. It forces him to see her as a fully individuated being, not an extension of his own needs or projections. He may, for the first time, see you for who you truly are, a powerful, self-sufficient woman. For a woman on the path of empowerment, this space is not a void to be filled, but a sacred container to be filled by her own being. It is the time to pour energy into her passions, her purpose, her friendships, and her own spiritual growth. This is the moment to engage in your own shadow work, to look at the parts of yourself that fear, abandonment, and seek to heal them. It is in this quiet, solitary work that you become a magnet. The most attractive quality a woman can possess is not her beauty, her charm, or her intelligence, but her radical self-sufficiency. When a woman knows her worth from the inside out, she does not need a man to validate her, and it is this very lack of need that makes her irresistible. He is not pulling away from a chase, he is pulling away from a clingy energy, but when he turns around, he will see not an empty space, but a woman standing in her own light, fully and beautifully complete. The silence he leaves in his wake is not a punishment, but a sacred crucible for your own transformation. It is the void that invites creation. This is the ultimate spiritual work, to face the emptiness and to fill it with the fullness of your own being. The woman who understands this does not wait for him to return. She uses his absence to build a life so rich, so full, so compelling, that the thought of a man's presence becomes a beautiful addition, not a desperate necessity. This is the state of being known as emotional non-attachment. It is not coldness or indifference, but a profound self-trust that understands that your joy, your peace, and your worth are not tethered to another person's whims or moods. This non-attachment is the bedrock of true power. The man who pulls away is testing the foundation of your self-worth. If it is built on the shifting sands of his attention, it will crumble. If it is built on the solid rock of your own inner knowing, it will stand unshaken. This is where the wisdom of the Stoics becomes a lived reality. Marcus Aurelius spoke of the inner citadel, a fortress of the mind that no external event can breach. When he pulls away, you are invited to retreat into this inner citadel, to fortify it with self-respect, to line its walls with purpose, to fill its halls with the echo of your own laughter and the hum of your own creativity. This is the antithesis of the needy, chasing energy that repels. It is the gravitation pull of a soul that is complete unto itself. The man's retreat is often an unconscious act of shadow projection. He is not running from you, but from the unintegrated feminine within himself that you embody. He sees his own vulnerability, his own need for intimacy, his own fear of being seen and known, reflected back at him in your eyes. This is too much for his undeveloped masculine psyche to bear. He flees not because you are too much, but because A is not enough to meet the profound depth of his own soul reflected through you. He pulls back to regain a sense of control over a psychological landscape that he finds overwhelming. A woman on the path of individuation does not blame herself for this. She understands that his internal struggle is not her fault. Her woe is not to save him, but to save herself. The final act of this psychological drama is not his return, but your complete liberation. It is the moment you realize you are no longer waiting, you are no longer checking your phone, you are no longer replaying conversations in your head. You are so immersed in the magnificence of your own life that the question of his return becomes a secondary, almost irrelevant consideration. You have transcended the fear of abandonment and the need for external validation. You've become your own source of love. This is the moment of genuine emotional freedom. Whether he comes back or not is a detail of the story, but the true climax is your own realization that his presence is no longer a prerequisite for your happiness. You have reclaimed your power. You have become the hero of your own epic. The space he created was not an ending, but the beginning of your greatest adventure, the journey home to yourself.